Let's no, stop!
We've got you covered.
You take my kids on purpose?
You get them back at the end of the day.
It's better than nothing.
On July 13th, bring your whole pack on vacation.
Say hi, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
With Drac.
Dennis, check this out. Oh, yeah.
Mavis.
This is so much fun.
And Blobby. Hotel Transylvania 3, rated PG.
I mean, that's the only reason you release a third Hotel Transylvania movie in the middle of summertime. I mean, what's next? They're going to release the next one in January. They're not even going to put it in theaters, put it on Amazon, and then replace Adam Sandler and Kevin James with people from YouTube. Ridiculous. Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. Today we are taking a look at the 4 films that make up the 13th of July, 2018. And, of course, the biggest new release is Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation, or Monster Vacation, or just Hotel Transylvania 3. If you don't get that, it's in the Movie Stop episode I did when I got the Blu-ray for this for the first time in October. If you want to go find out more about that, link in the corner, or here's a little clip of it right now. Alright, Sony, what are you trying to pull here? Like, what's the name of this movie? Is it Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation? Is it Hotel Transylvania 3 A Monster Vacation? Or is it just Hotel Transylvania 3? Wait, this is the third title that I've seen for this movie in the last six months. Because they've been promoting this with... The movie in theaters was Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation. Then you go to the supermarkets, Tombstone and A&W Root Beer has the title Hotel Transylvania 3 A Monster Vacation. Now I just go into Best Buy and it's just Hotel Transylvania 3. So Hotel Transylvania 3 takes place a few months after the events of Hotel Transylvania 2, where you have Dracula, Mavis, Johnny, and the rest of the family, both human and monsters, and friends as they take a trip on a vacation on a luxury monster cruise ship. Dracula becomes attracted to the ship's mysterious Captain Erica, played by Kathryn Hahn, the great-granddaughter of Abraham Van Helsing, the notorious monster slayer, played by Jim Gaffigan, and Dracula's ancient arch-enemy. And when it comes to the Hotel Transylvania movies, they have all been surprisingly better than they had any right to be. The first movie was really solid, very funny, slickly animated by Genndy Tartakovsky, and also managing to have a lot of good emotional and heartfelt moments, and a surprisingly solid climax that isn't the typical family film climax. I even liked Hotel Transylvania 2, even though I didn't like it as much as the first film. There still is a lot to admire. The animation is still great, the voice acting is still great, the story does the work for the most part, and the comedy does work really well. I think the movie needed a lot more of the heart and the deeper moments, as well as a better third act and the lack of an unnecessary villain to make it as good or even better than the first film. And with this film in particular, I still like it, but I'm willing to admit that this is definitely the weakest of the 3 films overall. But then again, a lot of it works. I'm more 75% on it, like with the other, like Hotel Transylvania 2, I was like 90% I really enjoyed it, and then Hotel Transylvania 1, 95% I really enjoyed it. There's still a lot of elements I do like about this film. The animation in this one in particular is the best in the series. This is about as close to Genndy Tartakovsky's animation style as you can get in a CG animated feature, and it looks impressive. And, you know, everyone knows that Tartakovsky was going to do a Popeye movie for Sony, but they dropped it for the Emoji Movie. This is about as close to the Popeye movies you're going to get, because there's definitely scenes in this movie where the animation looks like what the Popeye movie probably would have looked like, especially when you see Kathryn Hahn's designs in this, as well as Jim Gaffigan's character designs in this. The voice acting is great overall. Adam Sandler, once again, has that great charismatic charm to him. He's still got a great cast that includes a lot of the staples. You know, Selena Gomez, Andy Samberg, Kevin James, Fran Drescher, David Spade, Keegan-Michael Key, Steve Buscemi, Molly Shannon. Jim Gaffigan and Kathryn Hahn are also really good, too. The characters are still a lot of fun to watch. And they at least go back to making the idea of having more emotional moments or heartfelt moments in here. I did like that they introduced kind of an interesting element where, you know, the whole thing with the first movie was that, you know, once you zing, that's it. You're never going to be able to fall in love with anybody else. But here in this movie, they do kind of introduce another element where you can still get zinged, even if you've had it happen to you one time. Like, we always thought we could only zing one time, but, you know, zinging is a serious way of saying that you're falling in love with somebody, and it's always believed that once you zing once, that's it. So the fact that it's been done multiple times instead of just once is actually kind of a cool little twist they thrown in here. I also did like how Mavis kind of stepped in to be like her dad in this situation, kind of like a role reversal of the first movie, and it does allow Selena Gomez to showcase more of her abilities as an actress. And that was one of the things I really like about the fourth movie too, because she kind of took over as the main character of this franchise, starting with this film, because there's a 5th movie coming out now where she's going to be the main focal point of that film. unlike the last movie, I do like that the actual villain isn't just a cardboard cutout bad guy like Rob Riggle was in the second one. I like what Jim Gaffigan brought to the table as Abraham Van Helsing. He's a fun villain, well acted, hilariously designed. I just love how his body has been so withered down into this robotic device after 100 years, and he was a fun antagonist to watch in this movie. I will say that the overall comedy is lessened here. You still do get some pretty good laughs, but not those clever kind of laughs that you got in the first two movies. Like, I was laughing a lot at some of the more lowbrow humor. Like, for some reason, I don't know why this made me laugh so hard, but when Drax talking to his phone, telling it he wants to meet somebody, the phone goes like, "Oh, you want to eat dim sum?" Just I don't know why, but just the way that line is read. I've always said that a line can be funny, not really because of the overall intent, but if the performance is good enough to make it work, it can make me laugh hard. I laughed pretty hard when that happened. There's also a running gag with the dog in this movie, who was actually introduced into a short that was in front of the Emoji Movie the year before, Tinkles, which, that's, I feel like that was put in there by the studio because, gross out humor sells, but no, he's actually a fun character overall. There's a running gag on the boat where, they put a coat and hat on him and tell people on the boat that, oh, this is our friend Bob, Dennis and Winnie, the werewolf girl that kind of has like in the last movie they kind of set up as kind of like they have like this relationship that they're building together as like a couple overall, and this one kind of teases down a little bit here, but no, I love the part where they put this coat and hat on this dog, and they're just like, "Oh, this is our friend Bob. Say hi, Bob." And the dog who speaks like a dog, he'll do the barking and all that. But for some reason, every time they ask him, say hi, Bob, he's just like, "Hi, Bob." Like, that made me laugh hard. And I also love the wolf subplot where once they got rid of the kids into this daycare center, they were free to do whatever they wanted to, and when they were on screen, they were really funny overall. The laughs are still really good here, but I'm laughing more at the kid-friendly humor rather than a lot of the jokes that are trying to be clever, which is unusual for a kid's film like this. Half the times the jokes work, the other times not so much. They can kind of misfire, which does lead into some of my complaints about the film. The story's about as cookie-cutter as you get. You can kind of pinpoint where everything is going to go, right down to the climax, which I'll get to in a moment, but it's easy to kind of pinpoint every single thread. You're going to have that moment, the misunderstanding, the liar reveal, those cliches that I get so sick and tired of. And to give them credit, it's not as annoying or as forced as it usually is, but it's still there, and I have to bring it up because those are those cliches I really hate in movies like this. To me, the real downfall of the movie is that the climax. It's a good concept where, Van Helsing's plan to take down Dracula is to use an ancient mystical song to hypnotize the Kraken they meet in Atlantis, who oddly enough is voiced by Joe Jonas of all people, into destroying the monsters, especially Dracula. It's supposed to be like a negative energy driven song, so Drac and Johnny's plan is to come up with a more positive song to combat the negative energy. So basically we have the Hotel Transylvania equivalent to the DJ battle in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. And to be honest, I was kind of into it at first, and then the music they play throughout the movie, while not necessarily there to be there, worked for me because it's all the songs I like. They played 24 Karat Magic in one scene, I didn't mind it. They get to this musical battle, and they try to find out the more positive song to find the most positive song to combat the negative energy. So you got, Good Vibrations by the Beach Boys, and then Don't Worry, Be Happy by Bobby McFerrin. And they work for a little bit, but aren't enough as Drac goes, we need the most positive song ever, building up like it's going to be the greatest song ever, and both Drax and Johnny are going to get eaten by the Kraken. They get eaten by the Kraken, and then the song plays. And what song is it? It's this.
What the?
That's right. The Macarena is considered to be the most positive song in the universe. And when this happened, I swear to God, I laughed so hard because I was laughing mostly because I was thinking to myself, I cannot believe this is actually happening right now. This is one of the stupidest things I've ever seen, and yet I can't help but laugh at it. I'm like the characters in the movie who literally were the same thing I was doing. They were just kind of, it's like Drac's father, played by Mel Brooks. He's like, whoa, that stinks. And then all of a sudden, as the song works, all of a sudden he's just like, hey, it's actually working, and I kind of like it. And they just go into a random dance number. And as much as I don't like this, I'm not going to lie, I laughed pretty hard at it. It was entertaining in a stupid way, but my thing is that you have two songs that have positive vibes beforehand, and then you cap it off with the Macarena. Like, I mean, I thought we were past the 90s cliche of playing the Macarena a lot here, but I guess not. I mean, I could name 3 songs right off the bat that would have been better, but then again, now that I'm thinking about it now, because when I wrote this review, I was really thinking to myself, you know, there are much more positive songs out there than the Macarena. Because the 3 I was thinking of was, you know, Bohemian Rhapsody, which I think is the greatest song of all time. Don't Stop Me Now, another Queen song. Party All the Time by Eddie Murphy. We Built This City on Rock and Roll. But now that time has passed, as much as I think it's not a great cliche, a great climax overall, I will admit it did get me to laugh hard when the Macarena started popping up. And yeah, it basically comes down to a dance off, bro. And yeah, at the same time, it was still fun. So even if I don't like it all that much, I have to commend it for still finding some entertainment value out of that. To the movie's credit, it was so stupid that I did get a laugh out of it. The film knows how to do stupid right, unlike the next movie we're going to get to. I give this movie points for working with the stupidity levels. And I'm glad I saw it, because it's not going to warrant the ton of repeat viewing that the other 2 movies do, but it's still a movie I really still enjoyed. I mean, there's still a lot of things I like about it. The animation, the voice work, the comedy, the stupid moments. It's still a fun adventure. I would say definitely check it out if you like the other films, but don't expect this one to be at the top of the series overall, which the more I think about it now, since we've had the 4th movie, none of these movies really are straight up bad. The overall series in general has been really solid. It's just that the first 2 movies I think are the strongest parts of the series overall, and 3 is just good, but starting to show sign of its waning overall, and 4th is alright, nothing too spectacular, nothing too amazing, but it's still at least a passable film in general, which is more you can say for a lot of other franchises that overstay their welcome. I'm looking at you, Ice Age series. You got a 5th one coming out next year too, so maybe you could turn the tide around now. Actually, that's not true. It's a 6th one because there's already been 5 Ice Age movies. Maybe I'm thinking of 5 because the Hotel Transylvania 5 is coming out in October, next October. So, but hey, maybe they could turn it around just like Ice Age tends to turn it around next year. So there you go. That's my thoughts on Hotel Transylvania 3's Summer Vacation. So let's go ahead and move on to the other big new release this weekend. A movie that is unlike Hotel Transylvania 3, where its stupidity can actually work. Skyscraper has a lot of stupidity to it that doesn't make it work.
Not many people know what they would die for.
Daddy's gonna go make that bacon. No, 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 no!
My family is trapped 240 floors in the air.
This isn't going to end the way you want it to.
Oh, I'm sure he's not going to survive that. Oh no, heaven forbid! If that one leg, you know, why are they showing on the trailer if you're going to show the last scene with him in it? I mean, oh my God! You get my excitement for this movie because I certainly hope so, because this movie does not deserve that whatsoever. This is a terrible movie, man. I can't believe how bad this was, even for a stupid, so bad it's a stupid guilty pleasure summer popcorn film. It's really fucking stupid, man. So Dwayne Johnson stars as FBI hostage rescue team leader and U.S. war veteran Will Sawyer, now assessing security for skyscrapers, and on assignment in Hong Kong, he finds the tallest, safest building in the world suddenly ablaze, and he's being framed for it. A wanted man on the run, Will must find those responsible, clear his name, and somehow rescue his family who are trapped inside the building above the fire line. Yeah, this building has a fire line, so you know, places below that, you're all good to go. So unfortunately, Dwayne Johnson's family is up at the top here because, of course, that's how this works. Now, to its credit, it's supposed to be an obvious homage to classic disaster films such as Die Hard and especially The Towering Inferno, and you would think the trailers and the marketing for this movie were fully self-aware of how silly and ridiculous its premise was. Yeah, one would think. Unfortunately, what Skyscraper ends up being is not only not a good, fun, silly, dumb action film, but honestly a really boring one. I was so bored watching this movie. I could not believe how boring this movie was. I was really looking forward to it because I'd just seen Rampage. You know, Dwayne Johnson was still a reliable draw, and like I said before, he could take the dumbest action movie ever and still make it a fun film overall. I mean, he's proven that with Jumanji and San Andreas, you know, Central Intelligence, a lot of the movies we talked about here. But here, like, I was ready to go have a good, fun time, dumb time at the movies, and the movie was just like, nope, we're not even going to give you that satisfaction of a so bad it's a good movie. Watch us try to be serious as hell. There was no fun factor in this movie at all. I am so disappointed by this movie. A lot of the best action sequences in this were in the marketing. You didn't even need to see the movie to see the best action set pieces. Like, the stuff I just showed you there was the best action sequences in the movie. And on top of that, you just don't like any of these characters at all. Everyone just comes off as, we're just here to cash a check and that's it. The bad guys are your generic cookie-cutter bad guys. The good guys come off as shady themselves. Neve Campbell's just kind of being there to be the female protagonist. The kids are bland characters, nothing special about them. At least I gave a shit about John McClane's kids in the original Die Hard, even though they were not in there all that much. I gave a shit about John McClane's ex-wife in that movie. Technically, they were still married, but I think they were still separated at that time or something. It's been a long time since I've seen Die Hard. I gotta watch that movie again, but even Dwayne Johnson, the most charismatic and charming action star working in the business today, even he comes off as unlikable in this because his actions throughout the movie are so stupid. He sets himself up for everything bad that happens in this movie. I had nothing but respect for him back then, but this was a bad character he played, man. And the twists and turns are so easy to get. There's no thrill factor here whatsoever. For example, Johnson's army buddy, Ben, in the beginning of the movie, as soon as you see him with the scars on his neck, your first thing that you'll say to yourself is, he's working for the bad guys. He's working for the bad guys, and that happens all throughout this film. You can easily tell who's working for the bad guys. You can tell what's going to happen next. You can tell who's going to get killed next, who's going to be the X factor in this situation. Also, take a drink every time Dwayne Johnson talks about family in this movie. You'll be dead by the time it's over. Like, I swear to God, 5 minutes. 5 minutes will not go by in this movie without Dwayne Johnson talking about his family and how much he loves his family so much. Like, look, I love my family too, but I don't talk about how much I love them and how I will do everything for them every 5 minutes. He does this shit so much. He makes Steppenwolf's obsession with his mother in Justice League look normal by comparison. Even Vin Diesel was looking at Dwayne Johnson and being like, dude, settle the fuck down. This stupidity even leads to a part where the bad guys think he's smart because he's figured out Dwayne Johnson's weakness. Well, it's easy to find somebody's weakness when somebody's talking about it all the goddamn time. This movie is a colossal mess. And just everything just happens to move the story along. There's even one part where Neve Campbell and the kids get separated while the building is on fire. And the building is just like, ooh, goody, I'm going to separate all three of you to the most conveniently placed building piece collapses ever. I swear to God, as soon as these three get separated, the building pieces break off, flames of blazing in the most conveniently placed scenario ever. Like, it's just, like, imagine if Titanic had that type of mentality to it. Like, you know, it's just like, that's how stupid this movie gets. This movie is too stupid to be stupid. Like, that's the perfect way to describe this movie. It's too stupid to be stupid. The shit can't even get the tropes of a Die Hard clone right. There's no witty jokes or banter between anybody. It's just cheap little jokes and gags. And by far, the biggest thing that this movie failed to do in trying to be like Die Hard is the way they kill off the bad guy. We all remember how Hans Gruber met his demise, falling off the side of Nakatomi Tower in slow motion with the Michael Kamen score playing in the background. That was badass. And you know what? They had great Die Hard knockoffs where the villains died off in spectacular fashion. Powers Booth in 1995's Sudden Death, anyone? I mean, you need a good, fun, dumb, over-the-top death scene for your main bad guy. And what does Skyscraper do? Takes away any chance of a good, fun, over-the-top death scene and goes for the most generic and cliche death scene ever. The bad guy has Johnson's daughter and a hand grenade that just comes out of nowhere. Cue the obvious Anchorman joke.
Rick, where'd you get a hand grenade? I don't know.
And instead of some witty one-liner, Dwayne Johnson's big final line to the bad guy is, "I'm right behind you." Punches the guy off the building, saves his daughter, the bad guy then explodes with a grenade. This movie just sucks of any chance of being dumb or fun or over the top and takes itself way too seriously. There needed to be more funnier jokes in this for something as dumb as this film. And for Ross and Marshall Thurber, there's no excuse for holding back on these jokes. This guy has directed 3 really good comedies: Dodgeball, We're the Millers, Central Intelligence. This is the time when he decides to hold back on the comedy, and he wrote and directed this movie like he's proud of this. This would be like getting Judd Apatow to come in and direct a Die Hard knockoff movie and playing it completely straightforward with no jokes, and it's all serious. It just doesn't work. Skyscraper takes any chance to be a typical dumb fun popcorn summer blockbuster and just doesn't even bother to try to be entertaining at all. This is the most boring action movie I've seen since Transcendence. That's how bad this is. It's reaching Transcendence levels of terribleness. There were times in this movie when I was literally falling asleep watching this. I never fall asleep watching movies, and at times I almost did. That's how you know you made a bad movie. This is a bad film, one of the worst movies of the year. I couldn't believe how terrible this was. I was just so looking forward to this, and when it didn't do anything with its premise or fun, over-the-top potential, I was extremely let down by it. Like, it's one of the worst movies of the year. It's right up there with A Wrinkle in Time and Action Point. That's how bad it is, people. It's that bad of a film. It's one of the worst movies of the year. It's one of the worst Dwayne Johnson movies ever, and that's saying a lot because he's made some not-so-great movies since then, but actually, now that I think about it, honestly, it's tough to say. Moana was bad. This might be just a little bit off or more than that. I don't know. I'd have to rethink about that overall. But they're close. Skyscraper and the live-action Moana are the two worst things that Dwayne Johnson has ever been involved in. That's saying a lot. But, yeah, this movie sucks, man. So, let's see if we can go ahead and try to turn the tide around with our other two films here. We should with at least our first movie here, and that is Bo Burnham's directorial debut, and that is 8th Grade.
Just grab my phone. How to charge it?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I charge it too. But my phone, Just because things are happening right now doesn't mean they're always gonna happen.
What does it mean?
Just sort of my hopes and dreams.
Right.
So what you're saying is you don't want me to go get the shotgun and threaten them. Just checking. But in all seriousness, no, this is actually a really good movie. It follows Elsie Fisher, who I didn't realize was Agnes from Despicable Me until I did the research here. She's a teenager who struggles with anxiety but strives to gain social acceptance from her school peers during the final week of 8th grade, and copes by publishing apparently motivational vlogs despite spending much of her time obsessing over social media. And you can definitely see where this movie could still be relevant even by today's standards overall, because we live at a time where we're all obsessed with social media. I mean, you're literally watching this on social media. I mean, that's literally what this is. But when you have a director and writer like Bo Burnham, who actually used a lot of his own personal stories, including his onstage panic attacks and his own anxieties, to make this film, you know, it's a really interesting film overall. And when you have one of the producers is the guy who gave us The Bear, you got a film that works on all cylinders here. The movie is really entertaining, and it's kind of a bummer that Elsie Fisher really hasn't done a whole lot since then, except to just go back to doing voice work, because, you know, she was involved with the Addams Family animated movie that came out the year after this, and you know, she's been in some other things too, like McFarlane USA she was in. But other than that, though, a lot of the other movies she's been in have been mostly forgettable and pretty bad, like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake of 2022. But she was in The Bear in the last season overall, and I'd have to watch. I still haven't watched the full season yet of that, but I've only seen a couple of episodes, so I haven't really got a chance to see her in that. But yeah, I like this movie a lot. I think it does a very good job of giving you a good idea of, you know, a lot of people who are in 8th grade or are going to be in 8th grade this coming year, or in the future, can definitely look at this and see what they're in for here, because it's a movie that really is a testament of the time period overall. And I'm lucky enough I wasn't around in 8th grade. If social media wasn't around in 8th grade, because I really don't think I could have lasted if I had been the type of world that these people are living in. Yeah, when I was in 8th grade in I think it was 2002, if I remember. It was either 2002 or 2003. When I was in 8th grade, we didn't have social media like this. Like, we had, you know, the internet was much different than it was 24 years ago, because you had to wait. You still had to wait for people to get off the phone to use the internet. America Online was the predominant source to find all your websites and all that. But obviously, the times have changed overall. And honestly, I really don't think I could have lived in this time period that we live in right now. And I feel lucky that I did not have to deal with the same fate that a lot of these kids do. But nevertheless, this is still definitely a movie that should be seen by anybody who's going into 8th grade overall, to see, you know, what kind of a world they're heading themselves into here. And it's boasted by a lot of strong performances in here, not just by Elsie Fisher, but Josh Hamilton, Emily Robinson, Jake Ryan, Fred Heckner. I mean, this is a good cast overall in here, really working out with what they have here and delivering a really solid coming-of-age film that definitely deserves to be seen overall. Yeah, not much more to really say about it, except it's a really great movie. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out, because it is definitely worth the watch overall. So that's 8th grade for you, so let's go ahead and move on to our last movie that we have here, and that is Joaquin Phoenix among a cast in this movie, and don't worry, he won't get far on foot.
You're right on schedule, sweetheart, and I'm glad you're here.
Don't worry, he won't get far on foot. Well, if that's the next Joker, he's gonna get far, and he's gonna destroy stuff.
Probably the only time I'll ever use a Durant Cinema clip to talk about a movie like this, because that's one of the things I remember most about this, was the fact that I saw Durant Cinema talking about this movie, basically saying, well, that's going to be the new Joker, so he'll get far, and he will destroy the world, pretty much. But this is Gus Van Sant, who, after a couple of movies that have not been particularly strong overall, I will admit that this actually is probably one of his better movies he's made. Certainly nowhere near his classic works like Good Will Hunting or Milk, but still a pretty good movie overall. Joaquin Phoenix plays a recently paralyzed alcoholic who finds a passion for drawing off-color newspaper cartoons. You also have Jonah Hill, Rooney Mara, and Jack Black in here. And, it's a really good movie. It's a really good film that, again, shows a lot of really good actors doing what they do best. But, if you're still wondering if somebody like Jonah Hill can get out of comedy and be a good dramatic actor, here you go. There's a chance for him to prove that in here, and he makes it work very well. You also have a cast that includes Udo Kier, Carrie Bronstein from Portlandia, Hedda Matarazzo from The Princess Diaries. Who else is in here? Angelique Rivera, Morel Enos from The Killing. A lot of good people involved in this movie overall, and like I said, it's not one of the stronger films from Gus Van Sant in general. It's not even a movie that is as good with the plot it has here. I think American Splendor with Paul Giamatti was definitely the much better film. But this film is not bad at all. It's definitely a very entertaining film, and it's definitely one of the few underrated Gus Van Sant films that there is out there, where he shows that he actually still has what it takes to make a good film. Definitely one worth checking out if you haven't seen it. Don't worry, he won't get far on foot. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies, and we'll wrap up July with another double weekend, as we'll take a look at the weekends of July 20th and July 27th. We've got Denzel Washington returning as the Equalizer in The Equalizer 2. We have a sequel to one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life, Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. I have long avoided this movie because of how much I hated the first movie, but people kept saying that it's actually a lot better than the first film was. So I will be the judge of that, because I will take a look at that, and I'll have my thoughts on it tomorrow. We'll also take a look at yet another sequel, another one probably nobody was really asking for, but it's so cheap to make, they did it anyway. Unfriended Dark Web, the sequel to the 2015 breakout hit. We also have the Oscar contender, Blind Spotting. We also have... anything else for this weekend? I don't think so. But on the next weekend, July 27th, we'll wrap the month off with Tom Cruise starring in Mission Impossible Fallout. We have one of the year's biggest surprises, and that's saying a lot, because I really don't like Teen Titans Go, so I was not going into Teen Titans Go to the movies as for anything too spectacular or amazing, and yet I was really surprised by what I saw from it when I came out of it. So we'll take a look at that. We'll also take a look at... again, I thought I had everything, but I guess not. But so yeah, we'll take a look at that. So overall, we've got, I think, 4 movies. Yeah, Equalizer 2, Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, Unfriended Dark Web, Blind Spotting, Mission Impossible Fallout, Teen Titans Go to the Movies. We'll take a look at all 6 of them coming up tomorrow on the show. I hope you will join me for that. With all that said, though, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.